Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. We're all learning together to trust God. We're all learning that His peace can reign in our hearts in the middle of all kinds of crazy stuff, right? In the middle of life, in the middle of, because we all got things going on. Right? Well, I have things going on. Maybe you ain't got nothing going on, right? So, but we're all learning together to reel those thoughts in, to give our anxieties to Him and just trust Him for another day, right? And let His peace reign. Let that Prince of Peace, He gave us that peace. Or also discovering some of the things He gave us, right? Like peace, right? Like grace and mercy and love, how much He loves us. And it doesn't matter, and here's where I ended up back in Exodus this morning, and I'm not even going to apologize for it, right? Because I was looking at Aaron. I was looking at, he was the first person who was going to wear the ephod. He was the first person who was going to wear the beautiful breastplate with fine linen and fine threads and precious stones, and gold is made of gold. He was the first high priest that was going to get to go, the only person once a year who was going to get to go into the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle, right, was Aaron. Now, I thought that's crazy because Aaron also built a golden calf and lied about it, right? He fashioned it. It says he said, "Give me all your gold." They gave him all their gold, and he put it in the fire, and he fashioned it with his own hands, and then told Moses, "I don't know. We just put all this gold in there, and this calf just came out. I don't know, right?" And he's also later in Exodus and later in Leviticus or somewhere, Leviticus, I think, maybe Numbers. He and Miriam came together and started bickering and talking badly about Moses. And Miriam actually got leprosy and then got healed, all that stuff. And so I'm like, he was not perfect. And yet God didn't say, "You built a golden calf, now you can't be the priest." Right? No. I love that about God. He doesn't throw away imperfect people. Instead, He uses them. Right? And so I started thinking about it, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but I ended up in 2 Chronicles 16:9, and it says this: "The eyes of the Lord search the whole earth." This is the New Living Translation. "In order to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to Him." And so, it talks about the eyes of the Lord are looking across the earth, looking for people who want to serve Him, looking for people who want to follow Him, looking for people who want to have that relationship we talk about a lot in our Peace Out devotions, right? He's actually looking for people who want a relationship with Him. God, it says the eyes of the Lord run to and fro over the earth. God's always looking for that heart that is turned toward Him. And He doesn't exclude us because we got mess ups. So look, I know I hate to break it to you, and I know it's really going to be hard for you, but I'm not perfect. I make a mistake every now and then, every time, every single day, about every hour. Inside every hour, I can make lots of mistakes. But none of us are perfect, right? God doesn't say the eyes of the Lord are roaming around the earth to find the perfect person. The eyes of the Lord are roaming through the earth to find the person who never makes a mistake. He would get tired and quit, right? Because there is no such person in the world today that is perfect. However, I want to add this in: we are righteous because He clothed us in His righteousness. So He's not looking at us going, "Ooh, you're all dirty. Ooh, you've got bad stuff. You've got soul issues." No, He's not. He sees us as righteous, but He understands our imperfections, right? He sees us that we don't have it all together, but He sees that heart in us that's still pursuing Him. That's the amazing thing about God. And so I started thinking, God didn't say, "Okay, Aaron, I really, really wanted you to be the high priest, and now you can't because you made the calf and you were doing all kinds of bad things." And He didn't say that. No, he just said Aaron is the first high priest, and he is the first of the Levitical priesthood that's going to carry on down through the years. Isn't it interesting, though, and this is a side note, I'm sorry, my mind does this. Isn't it interesting, though, that Jesus didn't come through the Levitical priesthood? He didn't come through the sons of Levi. He came through David. He came through the tribe of Judah, which means praise, by the way. right? He came through the tribe of Judah. That's where his lineage, David, and all the way back up, you can trace him back to Judah, not Levi, right? But Aaron is the son of Levi. Yeah, Aaron is a Levite. He is the first of the Levitical priesthood. He gives us that picture of what God wants in ministry, right? But his job was to minister to the Lord and to bring the people to the Lord, right? And so we kind of get that off. But God didn't say, okay, you're going to be the very first high priest, but you messed up and now I can't do it. No. He saw the golden calf. He knew what Aaron was going to do. As a matter of fact, while Moses was on the mountain getting the laws about the Levitical priesthood, Aaron was down in the camp building the calf. And yet, God's saying, you are my first high priest. But, God kind of made it a habit to use imperfect people. We talked about a lot about Jonah, right? Jonah was not only imperfect, he was a mess. God said, go to Nineveh. He said, sure, I'm going that way. He deliberately disobeyed, but God went to the belly of the well, met him there, and said, come on, man, I know you want to serve me. He looked for his heart, not his mistakes or his perfection, right? He used him in that imperfection. Then we got Abraham. Abraham is the father of our faith, and he did a lot of really good things, and he was righteous, and he was faithful to God, right? And he trusted God. We have that picture of faith that he believed God for the impossible and got it because God said. He said, God said it doesn't make it impossible. It makes it possible now, right? And yet he lied twice about his wife being his sister, and he tried to deceive people. That was Abraham, right? Then we've got Judas. Jesus even picked Judas, knowing that he was going to sit across from the table, knowing that he was going to deny him for 30 pieces of silver in the end, and it was going to lead to his crucifixion. And yet at the end, when they were all saying, who is it? It shows me that he never treated Judas any different than the other disciples, even though he knew Judas was going to betray him. Even though he knew he couldn't trust Judas, the other disciples didn't know who it was. I'd have put a black mark on his head and said, this is the one y'all don't trust. No, Jesus treated Judas with the same love and concern. He fed him like he fed the others. He took care of him as they traveled like he did the others. He taught him just like he did the others. They didn't even know which one was going to be the betrayer. But Jesus knew before he chose him. But he still chose him, right? And then there was Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. And Paul killed Christians before he became one, right? But God didn't say, well, Paul, I really wanted to use you to really minister through the ages to the Christians, those who would become believers through the ages for 2,000 years and more after the inception of the church and the church body on the earth, and after the New Testament, after the New Covenant, after the cross. I really wanted to use you to just minister to the eons of Christians that would come. But man, you're just a mess. You killed all those people. God did not say that. He still used Paul, right? This book is full of stories of how God used imperfect people, of how he went after the heart, right? Even when people threw them away, even when others didn't want to use them. As a matter of fact, that was his message to Peter, who wasn't perfect either. Remember, Peter was the one who denied Jesus 3 times, and yet he became one of the chief apostles in the new church. God didn't say, man, you denied me. You're out. That's it. No, that's me. That's how I do it. No, I don't trust you anymore. No, God still used Peter, even though he denied Jesus. He denied even knowing Jesus 3 times. But didn't Jesus tell him that beforehand? He said, you're going to deny me 3 times before morning. And Peter's like, oh, no, I'm not. Not me. No, I'm not. So he's a little cocky. He cut the dude's ear off. He was always the first one to say something. He was always out of line, it seemed like. And yet Jesus didn't say, well, I'm not going to use you. He said, this knowledge that you have, Peter, is what I'm going to build my church on. The truth, not the fact. Facts change, truth doesn't. The truth that I am the Christ. And you're going to be the one who's going to preach it to the multitudes and see 2,000 saved in a day, 4,000 saved in a day, right? He didn't disqualify Peter because he was a mess. Thank God, because I'm a mess most of the time, right? There's some mornings I'm going to be just honest. I don't want to get up and do this devotion. I'm a mess. And I get myself together and get in the Word, and you know what? I began to see God's grace. I began to see His purpose. I began to see that He loves the Judas in me, because sometimes I deny Him too. He loves the Peter in me. He loves the Paul in me. We all have all these, we can identify with these different characters, right? Sometimes I identify with Paul, sometimes I identify with Peter, sometimes I just say, I'm just a mess, I don't identify with anybody. And God still says, I use imperfect people. As a matter of fact, God will use anything to get to the hearts of those who are seeking Him. He's looking for the heart that's seeking Him, according to the scripture in Second Chronicles 16:9. He's looking for hearts who are looking for Him. And He meets us there in our imperfections, in our craziness, in our misunderstandings, in our lack of knowledge, in our lack of self-control. He just meets that heart that wants to meet Him. He works through imperfect people. He looks for imperfect people. He doesn't look for imperfection, and He doesn't look for perfection, because this whole thing is, other than Jesus, there was nobody perfect, and we still don't have anybody perfect in this world, right? But He still wants to use us. He doesn't disqualify us from His love, from His peace, from His grace, from His mercy, from sharing His word, from learning His word, from loving Him and receiving His love. He uses and looks for imperfect people whose hearts are turned toward His. And that's why we can peace out. He loves us. I don't get it all the time because I know I'm a mess, right? But I love that He loves me no matter what. And I love that He loves you no matter what. And because of that, we can just peace out. So peace out. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.